Shabbat Shalom again, family. Let's begin with the blowing of the shofar and an opening prayer. Thank you, Yahweh. We bless the name of Yahweh this evening as we all gather together as one amongst the children of Yahweh. We thank you for the upcoming fresh revelation, the new wine, the new oil in our life. We ask that you overflow our lives with your Ruach's presence in this space. We thank you because we've been blessed with the opportunity to take part in your righteous kingdom and the blessing to also honor your set apart, sanctified feast days. We ask for more of your Ruach in all areas of our life. We ask for your spirit, breath, and wind to flood us every single day of our lives here on earth as it is in heaven. May all of your called and chosen children yield their entire lives unto you, and we ask that we have the desire to continue seeking you and learning from you, and may all other spirits who may be dwelling and influencing any of the listeners be gone now and forever. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so shall this be for all who are listening.
So shall it be.
Well, shalom, shalom, family. Give me one moment. Okay. So, as you know, we are approaching the Feast of Shavuot. And for those who have never heard of this feast, it is one of Yahweh's feasts, which is known as the Feast of Weeks in English. This particular feast occurs on the 50th day after the week of the Feast of Pesach, unleavened bread, and first fruits. And if you are wondering, this is commonly referred to as the day of Pentecost by Christians. But if you're fresh to honoring Yahweh and learning the ways of Yahushua and how Yahweh's set-apart children should live, there is an abundance of new revelation available for you to receive every single day, understand, apply into your lives. If you have ears to hear, listen to Yahweh's voice. And I just want to say, brothers and sisters, remember, do not ever become intimidated or embarrassed to proclaim the name of Yahweh or Yahushua. What you have received is the foundation to your path ahead in Yahweh. In Yahweh's name, there is power. And just like how a child needs milk to be sustained, the act of learning, hearing, and applying what you received is crucial. Something we need to clear up is the dates in which we follow Yahweh's feast days. Right now, we follow one of many Hebrew calendars, and this specific calendar is what most followers in Judaism follow in Israel, Palestine, and all around the world. However, since it is almost 1 year since Christian and I have personally been following Yahweh's feast days, Yahweh has shown us great blessings and continuous revelation since honoring them and following Him in His ways. What I want to share with everyone listening is how we are currently seeking Yahweh for the truth in His calendar. And so after this feast, maybe before the remaining fall feasts, we will have gained more wisdom and understanding from Yahweh regarding His calendar that is from the beginning of creation. This is to say, we do not and will never claim we know everything. Our walk in Yahweh should be a continual path leading us to the ultimate revelation and presence in Yahweh. We ask in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that the calendar created and established by Yahweh is confirmed to us in the very near future. And may the revelations be made clear and magnified in our lives and understanding through your wisdom, Yahweh. In Yahushua HaMashiach, so shall this be for all who are listening and seeking Yahweh actively. Now, each of Yahweh's children are able to, of course, receive more revelation, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding when intentional and genuine seeking and communion is done. We can never become stagnant and content in the revelations we've received so far. we are to be content all the days of our lives, but in the way that we are to be transformed. As mentioned in the past Shabbat teachings, we need to have a heart that desires of more of Yahweh, because it is a relationship, after all, with the creator of all creation. Having Ruach Yahweh as our helper is the only reason why we all have been blessed with becoming the natural and spiritual set-apart children of Yahweh, the Most High, sovereign, righteous, and mighty King. If any time during this message you sense your flesh building up a wall and your heart begins turning into stone, ask Ruach Yahweh to help you tear that down and burn it. This message is not for the weak, because being part of Yahweh's righteous and set-apart family and kingdom requires much work, humility, endurance, and renewal. I say this because the interpretation by man on the calling of Pentecost only grasp a portion of this beautiful feast day, which falls on June 11th sunset to June 13th sunset this year. Pentecost is an ancient Greek word meaning 50, while Shavuot means weeks in Hebrew. Mankind, religion, and all anti-Hamashiach spirits take great pleasure in twisting Yahweh's words and making up their own traditions and teachings. Hence, many religious organizations referencing their preferred theology, a word which is an ancient Greek word also, meaning the study of gods, plural, G-O-D-S, because the ancient Greek civilization was built on worshiping many gods. Yahweh is the only Elohim. All other so-called gods are false idols and demonic spirits, who are thousands of years old, by the way. And not a single creation of Yahweh can study Yahweh. I'm going to say that once more. Not a single creation of Yahweh can study Yahweh. So to say that there is a superior theology available to the people in this world, or when a group says that they follow this specific theology and doctrine, shows a person is following evil spirits, either willingly or unknowingly. But regardless, it is definitely not from Yahweh's Ruach. Also take into consideration the fallen angels, the demonic spirits. They came into this world thousands of years ago and taught mankind theologies, doctrines, traditions, and more. They have their own literal studies available for people to access. This is why Yahweh's Ruach and discernment is so important. And don't get me wrong, although there are some aspects of Yahweh's truth in many religious organizations, there is still the seed of deception and distortion, solely because the seed of darkness is what produced those fruits in the first place, which contain tons of confusion and uncertainty. Hence, millions and probably billions of people not having a genuine relationship and fear in Yahweh alone. And keep this in mind. This is how the first religion was founded. For a reference, when Satan took some truth from Yahweh and twisted it to bring confusion, and that's when hedonism and humanism began in the Garden of Yahweh with Eve. All that is said and will be spoken is shared to you with love. Yahweh through Yahushua knows who will receive him as he reveals himself to them. And Yahweh is the only one who knows when a person has a heart ready to receive him. Do not get overwhelmed, as Yahweh's perfect timing is what will come to pass, not our own plans. Just consider this. If you have owned the books containing Yahweh's word, but have barely come to know his true names, Yahweh and Yahushua, which means and proclaims the name of Yahweh, Yahweh is salvation, Yahushua, meaning the Messiah's name is not JC, The name of JC proclaims a false idol and is another spirit. Personally, Christian and I have received massive revelation and wisdom regarding these matters from Yahweh. And it led us to make a decision to not proclaim the names of false idols unless it is to help correct people from using the incorrect names of false idols and titles. And when we say that many around the world have received this revelation that we are speaking about today, this is true. It's been passed down for thousands of years. There are followers of Yahweh in Yahushua everywhere in the world. How do we know this? It is because we have personally had and have connections through the past years and have fellowship with Yahweh's children. Because of Yahweh's children obeying and fearing Yahweh and sharing and proclaiming his name, we have been able to have the blessing of receiving him into our lives completely. Another thing that I want you to know, and I'm going to share, is that the fear of Yahweh dwells inside of me. And to continue walking in wickedness and foolishness is something I cannot pack and carry with me moving forward. I have to manually unpack and remove all unnecessary baggage and weight forever into the trash, which I thought, by the way, was considered acceptable and essential. But in reality, it took up valuable space and it is worthless. It has absolutely zero benefits for me. When I learn and have come to know something in my life is not from Yahweh, I need to take action and make righteous decisions to ensure whatever is from the enemy is stopped and put to an end. And the only reason why I can recognize what is from the enemy and what is of Yahweh's is because I have daily communion with Yahweh. I can recognize Yahweh's voice, his words, his messages, and how his Ruach leads. His Ruach is my helper. So when I become aware and corrected by Yahweh, I need to deny myself and follow him, because I'm not going to continue taking his sacrifice for granted. I fear Yahweh and Yahweh alone. I'm not sure if you got that, but I'm going to repeat what I said once more. The fear of Yahweh needs to dwell inside of you. And to continue walking in wickedness and foolishness is something you cannot pack and carry with you moving forward. You have to manually unpack, remove, and throw away all unnecessary baggage and weight you thought was considered acceptable and essential. But in reality, it is just taking up valuable space and it is worthless. It has absolutely zero benefits for you. When you learn and have come to know something in your life is not from Yahweh, you need to take action and make righteous decisions to ensure whatever is from the enemy is stopped and put to an end. Because I'm most certain there is an expiration date for all of it. And the only way you can recognize what is from the enemy and what is of Yahweh's is when you have daily communion with him, with Yahweh. You will be able to recognize Yahweh's voice, his words, his messages, and how his Ruach leads you. His Ruach is there to be your helper. So when you become aware and corrected by Yahweh, you need to deny yourself with full humility and follow Yahushua willingly, because you cannot continue taking his sacrifice for granted. Once this state of mind and lifestyle comes to pass in your life, that is when you have the fear of Yahweh in you. Yahushua paid our debts. Yahweh took our wickedness, foolishness, and all other negative consequences to the stake for you and I. Why is it so difficult for us to do life with Yahweh when he has given us access, direct access to his Ruach? Everything we need, every single spiritual and natural resource, tool, and weapon made to overcome your own flesh and all demonic spirits. The reason why the walk to follow Yahweh can be difficult and an inconvenience for many people is because they have gained zero wisdom from Yahweh in where to begin. Our seed since birth was corrupt. Our desires were to follow false idols immediately and their teachings, because that was and may still be in our DNA. Most, if not all, of our ancestors worshipped many false idols, also known as demonic spirits and their teachings. This is the reality. Generational curses are thousands of years old, and these demonic spirits and fallen angels, the entire realm of darkness, have been following our ancestry year by year since the fall of Eve and Adam. They know what triggers you naturally and all your weaknesses, because what influenced you before accepting Yahweh was from their tree, from their fruit, from their seeds, meaning all the evil spirits. The serpent in the garden of Yahweh taught Eve how to become like gods, plural, Gods, demonic fallen angels, evil spirits, the gods of this world, the gods that the ancient and modern civilizations worship. 2 words, fallen angels. This is why people naturally like to believe that everything they say, do, and how they live is right and good, okay, and acceptable. What other people think is just their own opinions. However, when you step outside of that bubble and you realize that there is a righteous path provided by Yahweh, or one can choose the world's messed up system and road that leads to destruction and death. Choose life in Yahweh or death. You have the ability to choose every single day. The first step is acknowledging how we've been in the wrong and communicating that and expressing the act of humility and repentance to Yahweh is by becoming aware of your family's curses and knowing the curses that you have brought upon in your own life and family's life, all of which needs to come to light and be made known. You cannot be delivered from a curse when you conceal and hide it. In other words, are in denial. Sacrifice those in your life and put it in Yahweh's hands so that He can help you remove those chains and ties from your life and your offspring. In other words, your children's children and so on. You need to have fellowship with Yahweh and with His family, the brothers and sisters in Yahweh. Conversations and prayers need to be a daily desire and component in your life and community. Having so much pride in yourself and being in denial of the flaws in your life and ancestors' lives allows the enemy to not only destroy you emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, socially, and spiritually, but it is an open door for the spirit of stubbornness, selfishness, ignorance, laziness, greediness, and so many more demonic personalities and spirits to continue residing in and with you. You need to realize which tree and fruits you are consuming, planting, and harvesting. And this is what the Feast of Shavuot is all about. To deny yourself, to deny the studies of mankind, demonic spirits, to stop walking in wickedness, foolishness, selfishness, pridefulness, greediness, laziness, and all other traits and characteristics that are full of anti-Hamashiach spirits, all of which are idols in our lives that need to be removed for good. And that can only be done when you surrender everything unto Yahweh. When Moshe was called to meet Yahweh in Mount Sinai, Moshe was absent from the people for 40 days and 40 nights. During the time of Yahweh revealing to Moshe many revelations and His truth, The people lost sight of what mattered and went back into their old ways, building up for themselves an idol, a false, empty statue that they planned to worship. Even the person who was made to steward and care over them, Aaron, allowed this foolishness to happen. Yahweh will never identify himself with a statue, idol, graven image, or item from this world. Those are abominations. Yahweh will not and is not at all connected to false idols found in religions. We cannot begin to think we have made it. We need to always seek Yahweh to have his armor covering us and holding us accountable, which we have gained by his Ruach, who is our helper. Praise Yahushua. So if your life is full of pursuing and consuming your own fleshly desires and lifestyles of this world, you need to begin spending time with Yahweh daily. I'm talking about 24/7 consumption and communion with Yahweh. And believe me, this is possible. It's extremely doable and simple to implement. If you can talk to yourself, if you can talk to your family, your friends, coworkers, peers, strangers, throughout the day, you can include Yahweh in every single event. If you can do life with yourself, the people around you, and society, you can start walking, following, and doing life with Yahweh with zero problems and hesitations. Any excuse and reasoning you say and can come up with and want to believe in is a stronghold from the enemy. If you want to keep saying the same excuses over and over, and you don't realize that you are just declaring curses in your own life, you need to seek Yahweh. And that is all I can say, because only Yahweh's Ruach can help in transforming your entire life on a level fueled solely by his righteousness and presence, his Ruach. And how we become strengthened by Yahweh's Ruach is knowing, hearing, listening, and seeking his word, the messages you have access to through his letters for us to learn and gain wisdom from. Remember that his truth, his words, it is alive, breathing, and speaking life every single time you read and have fellowship with Yahweh and the family. You gain fresh revelation, new wine, and fresh oil. The decisions you make result in consequences that can affect your life positively or negatively. Think about it this way. You know you need to do groceries, but you keep telling yourself and other people, I'm fine. There's enough food for X amount of days. Days and weeks pass by. You are down to your last meal. So what do you do now? You go and buy yourself some groceries, right? But by doing that, it eventually will cause you to live in lack, scarcity, and malnourishment. Because one day you might completely forget you have no more food. You have zero food in the fridge. Instead of keeping up with your groceries and your meals every single day, you allow the fridge to go empty. Another way to put this is when you received your paycheck, you worked and earned X amount of dollars. If you don't have a budget or a plan or are actively working to continue earning the income, what happens? Say someone works only for 1 month and earned a total of $2,000. Well, what happens now? The finances need to be allocated. The money needs to be distributed towards bills like mortgage, rents, electricity usage, water, gas bill, the auto loan, car insurance, the car's gas, maintenance, toiletries, groceries, and any other home repairs and savings for emergencies. And most likely, additional expenses that are not able to be afforded can and may occur. Did this person tithe to Yahweh first? Did this budget include money to bless others, which is the offerings? The budget we just heard was only enough to make ends meet for 1 month. We can either work and earn the rewards and blessings Yahweh has for us to receive, and receive it in abundance, an overflow that is continually pouring into our lives and others as we are blessed to be a blessing. Or we can solely focus our eyes and mind on the very short-term goal and responsibilities. But then we fall back into the same position over and over again. The way we think and do things reflects how our lives will be in the present and future. Yahweh shows us how to steward properly, how to care properly over the blessings we are to receive and currently have, as it is our responsibility to do what needs to be done in order for that to sustain us in whatever area. For how long, we won't ever know, because only Yahweh knows. But remember, Yahweh blesses the children richly, you and I. He blesses us richly. When the child has shown Yahweh that they can handle and do what it takes to get the job done, taking care of, stewarding over the material possessions is what the few first tests are about. Then, when you have conducted a renewed, transformed, righteous behavior, attitude, and perspective towards the blessings and tests from Yahweh, Yahweh can then continue pouring out, providing, and giving you more in that area of your life, plus some, to either bless others, or maybe it won't be an increase in a material aspect, but it will be for helping the family of Yahweh grow. In the scriptures, it says how if we are not faithful with the unrighteous mammon, meaning material things of this world, who can trust you with true riches, which are Yahweh's people, his children? Because the main purpose and calling of Yahweh's children is to first honor Yahweh by serving his people, to become free from the realm of darkness and receive the gift of salvation which comes from Yahushua. Yahweh is salvation. Which is more important, material possessions and money or souls? Material possessions and money will fade away, but souls, one, they will either fade away, or two, they will live in eternity with Yahweh. Where do you stand? Are you generous in all areas of your life? Because to become wealthy and rich in Yahweh is not limited to financial wealth, but it is both natural and spiritual wealth and riches. If someone was to be absolutely below the poverty line, but receives Yahweh through Yahushua HaMashiach, they are abundantly blessed, wealthy, and rich in the spiritual, which will reflect in the natural because they received him. And when you believe right, you will live right. When you consume Yahweh's fruits from his tree of life, that is the door to having access to an overflow of blessings. Your entire life will go from being in the natural and spiritual lack, scarcity, desperation, and malnourishment to becoming and staying in the state of prosperity, wealth, abundance, vitality, shalom, empowered by what only Yahweh can give, which is life. We as humans naturally are interested in the things of this world and what our own flesh wants and desires. I would say before receiving Yahweh into our lives, a large percentage, if not every single aspect of who we were fueled by anti-Hamashiach spirits. We were born into this world with seeds of all forms of evil. So the reason why when you begin following and learning about your identity in Yahweh, there is a massive resistance. You will encounter and go through trials, tribulations, temptations, and tests, because demonic spirits who have been engaging with you since birth are very well aware of every single weakness you have. They will do everything they can to stop you from becoming free and experiencing true freedom and liberation in Yahweh alone. Recognize the chains in your life that are holding you down and renounce them. Yahweh is righteous. His Ruach is light. He is perfect and pure. He will not dwell in a space that is dark, polluted, tainted, and diluted. Nothing like lukewarm. This is why every single decision you make needs to be a form of honoring, praising, and just pure worship to and for Yahweh. We have practiced and implemented the ways of the world, of demonic spirits, for far too long. You need to ask Yahweh for help every single day. Because when you understand, learn, and apply the path Yahweh has for you, your life will be totally different. Having the wisdom from Yahweh in knowing what it means to fear Yahweh, I mean truly fear Him, and nobody or anything else. Only Yahweh is who you fear. So having the fear of Yahweh will produce all that you need to do supernaturally. I'm talking about spiritual, miraculous growth and transformation in Yahweh. And I know if you have come from a religion, for example, we came from Christianity, the talk about transformation and experiencing a whole new life in the church seems to many people, whether in the church or not, came across as just all talk. We can and could plainly see and know that many people, including our own lives, were producing demonic fruits or were more like the world outside of church. There is an overflow of adulterous, two-faced hypocrites everywhere. That is why discerning by the help of Ruach Yahweh is a must. When someone says that they believe in Yahweh and His words spoken through His Ruach and written messages, yet decide to take action in serving the kingdom of darkness, that individual is either consumed by an adulterous spirit, has a tooth-faced spirit, or in simpler terms, is double-minded, and is ultimately a hypocrite. Yahushua plainly has it written as well, how we can identify. Making a statement every day to live life in Yahweh through Yahushua, the relationship is a direct mirror of a natural marriage here on earth to make a natural connection. So here's an example. Say there is a couple who recently got engaged. They announced publicly to all who were witnessing their lives in the natural and spiritual realm that they will soon have a wedding and a grand feast to celebrate and honor their oneness. However, the soon-to-be bride is living a secret life from her soon-to-be husband. The fiancée or soon-to-be bride speaks to the fiancé or soon-to-be husband once in a while, not every day, only rings him when she needs something, and doesn't really make their engagement or wedding known to anyone. It's just hidden. Actually, the people around her and even herself hardly know anything about the fiancé because she doesn't care to spend time with him and share their love story with the world. The fiancé prefers to spend time with other men and parties with evildoers. You can see from this story, you probably have known someone or a couple even, or maybe yourself being in a similar situation. Now transfer that situation to your relationship with Yahweh through Yahushua. Who is Yahweh to you? Have you read or listened to any of His written letters and messages to you? Do you spend time with Him daily? And can you recognize His voice when He's speaking to you? I am sure you can recognize your family's voices and your friends, but how about Yahushua's Ruach? Living according to Yahweh's righteousness requires a heart transformation, and you need to gain wisdom from Yahweh alone. Otherwise, what are we doing honoring His feast days and Shabbats if every other day throughout the year is a lie? Did you know that works outside of Mashiach do not bring salvation, meaning all His feast days and Shabbats, meaning keeping all His feast days and Shabbats, but not believing in Yahushua is meaningless. So why waste our time, you and me, doing something that we don't truly believe in or have faith in? We need to realize that following Yahweh and becoming his child is a reward here on earth. So what more in eternity? Where is your treasure? What treasures are you storing up? Every day, people commit natural adultery. So how much more in the spiritual realm? When we live a double life and don't allow Yahweh's Ruach to show us, teach us, guide us, and help us in becoming renewed in his seed completely in all areas of our life, because we just thought that knowing his name is enough, we commit adultery towards Yahushua. It's time to start living life as Yahweh intended for us. Unless you start proclaiming, seeking, reading, believing, witnessing, testifying, and sharing the amazing messages of Yahweh through Yahushua to yourself, to those around you and society, your life now will have very little maturing. Don't become and stay stagnant, because knowing the name of Yahweh and Yahushua is not the final revelation you are to receive. This is just the beginning. I want you to think about all the negative aspects in your life. Now, when you acknowledge what those are, what are some things around you people say or point out that causes you to become tense, offended, intimidated, defensive, and judgmental even? I'm talking about the traits and characteristics you have that are clearly not from Yahweh, but from the demonic spirits. You and I need to constantly allow Ruach Yahweh to work in us to better our character. Our character should mirror and produce Yahweh's fruits, which is the path to readying yourself to receive the spiritual gifts from Yahweh, which will be a huge, like a massive breakthrough moment for you. If you are totally unaware of what Yahweh's fruits and gifts are, we encourage you to seek Yahweh's word and write them down, and pray to Yahweh to help you understand and learn what they are, and to fill you up with his fruits and gifts daily. Because until you receive the revelation, understanding, and wisdom to apply his fruits and tap into those spiritual gifts, the areas in your life that is full of darkness, evil, wickedness, foolishness even, you will continue experiencing the terrible consequences the world and the people from this world have to endure and go through. Why make life more difficult when you've already been revealed the path to righteousness? So you have two tables to choose from: life or death, blessings or curses, life with Yahweh or life with all the spirits who will be no more on the day of judgment. Seek Yahweh day and night, and have his words written on your heart. You have many decisions to make every single day, multiple times in each day, from the moment you wake up and the time you go to sleep, to either represent Yahweh in his royal, righteous, and sovereign kingdom, or you can ignore all of Yahweh's instructions, his guidance, teachings, messages, and his Ruach entirely, and continue walking on and towards destruction. We need to understand that if we willingly and constantly slam the door in Yahweh's face and deny his invitations time after time, this is considered quenching Yahweh's Ruach. And if this behavior continues, there might be a day when it is too late to respond to his invitations. Because I don't know if you know this, but we will all die and fade away from this earth one day. Mind you, Yahweh speaks to us directly through his Ruach, through his living word and breathing words, which can be found in his written messages and through other people. This Shabbat message probably sounds harsh to many people, and that's completely okay, because when we begin reading Yahweh's word, we notice how amazing Yahweh's character is, how he's just, righteous, sovereign, the Almighty, the creator of all. A question I have for you is, are you engaged to Yahushua? How can someone be engaged to someone when they don't know anything about the person? They have zero interest to even learn about their soon-to-be spouse, let alone their true name. To say that Yahweh is your king and the ruler in your life, and you said yes to the proposal to be married to him through Yahushua, what does your relationship look like? Is the relationship, or in the natural earthly terms, is the chemistry, the dynamic of the relationship growing stronger each and every day? Are you learning more about each other, or has the spark died? The honeymoon phase went away. We need to realize that we are the bride of Yahushua. He is our groom. When we said yes to Yahweh through Yahushua, we got engaged. This engagement symbolizes the covenant we have in Yahweh. The 7 weeks that prepares us to honor and observe the Feast of Shavuot is all about denying our old identities. And I said identities because demonic spirits, when we were born, were many. They didn't come into our lives just singular. There were and may still be many idols and demonic influences in our life. And so the 7 weeks and the 49 days of preparation is a time period to shed off the hideous body that we've all been wearing and serving, which is the kingdom and realm of darkness. And we need to put on and ready ourselves with the new body in Yahweh, which holds Yahweh's Ruach, because it becomes his temple, his dwelling place. And right on the 50th day, on the Feast of Shavuot, you reveal yourself. You show yourself to Yahweh in Yahushua as the beautiful bride, the spouse he expects to be engaged with, the bride he expects to become one with, the bride who has prepared herself, loves him, respects him, learns from him, is guided by him, gains wisdom and knowledge from him, all while receiving spiritual and natural gifts from him and being fed and fueled by the fruits from his living and breathing tree of life. The Feast of Shavuot is a day to declare and remember your covenant, our covenant with Yahweh. Your relationship, your engagement with Yahweh through Yahushua. Are you ready to please, honor, respect, praise, love, and worship Yahweh, regardless of what it entails and requires? I mean, there is nothing but an overflow of benefits for you and I. But Yahweh is just waiting for you to respond with intention and take action every single day to show yourself, the people around you, society, and all the spirits that Yahweh is yours and you are Yahweh's. If you have a difficult time understanding this, think of it in the natural realm. When a couple is to become married, they first initiated a relationship. They got to know each other, learn more about each other, develop a strong union and relationship with one another. Then the arrangement of an engagement took place, a stage where couples are confirming their soon-to-be covenant, their marriage. They discuss and prepare for years even for the wedding feast. They start living differently. They start doing life together in a way that honors their relationship in the marriage. This is what the preparation weeks leading to Shavuot is all about. Confirming your relationship in Yahweh as we serve and follow him as our sovereign righteous king, the creator of all, and we acknowledge and agree to the terms of what the marriage with Yahweh entails and requires. Mind you, Yahushua already paid the price for your engagement, wedding, and new home, which will be in the New Jerusalem. He paid it at the stake during the Feast of Pesach when he became the Lamb, and the first fruits, the first risen for all the harvest. Have you taken action to prepare yourself during the Feast of Unleavened Bread and preparation period of 7 weeks, the 49 days, which is still in motion? So you still have time to deny yourself in areas you know and are well aware of that are influenced and from the fruit of the evil spirits. Learn from Ruach Yahweh. Spend your entire days with him. Seek him and his truth. Have his words written on your heart. Implement Implement the new lifestyle before the Feast of Shavuot arrives, and you will see how beautiful the next chapters of your life will be and for eternity, here on earth as it is in heaven. To honor and observe the Feast of Shavuot means you are honoring and observing all the ways of Yahweh and declaring to the natural and spiritual realm you have received the gift of salvation through Yahushua. You show the natural and spiritual realm that you have become made new. You are declaring to all of creation the covenant you have in Yahweh. And I want you to know that there will always be something in some area in your natural and spiritual life that needs work done. Not a single child of Yahweh will come to know everything. But it is our responsibility as Yahushua's bride to bring honor and glory to our soon-to-be husband, Yahushua. We need to be prepared for the wedding feast to come. So it is your responsibility to seek him, learn from him, allow Yahweh to teach and correct you and guide you towards the path you were created for. It is also your responsibility to open and discover the secrets in his messages, in his words, the scriptures of Yahweh daily. Listen to him, hear him, read the words he's speaking into your life, and ultimately share them to the world around you. In the book of Mishle, which is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, it shares how it is Yahweh's privilege to conceal things, and it is our privilege to discover them. We have to start exercising using our senses in the natural and spiritual realm for Yahweh alone. We have become so used to and accustomed to using our senses for this world and for ourselves. To serve the world and to serve yourself, what benefits you and what fits your agenda. We need to put an end to this once and for all. What I just shared regarding the responsibilities you and I have is not to place yourself on a self-righteous state of mind 24/7. Because following Yahweh with the help of our helper, His Ruach, will simply come naturally to us. Because we have been rebirthed into a newness. There will be some people who watch and listen to how you now live your life. And you will probably place some judgment, they will probably place some judgment on you regarding the decisions you make to now follow Yahweh in all of his ways. And they may also use a worldly concept that is a path to destruction by thinking you are able to do this and that by your own efforts and strengths. But in reality, every single person who truly has a relationship with Yahweh has a testimony that is far from that excuse and reasonings. Yahweh will speak and direct your paths through his Ruach, which was given to us through Yahushua when he was raised on the third day. Yahushua is the one who we are to follow and learn more. He made many letters and messages for us to learn from. And keep in mind, if you are not hearing or listening to Yahweh's voice, he will use the body, the children, our brothers and sisters in Yahweh to plant the seed and message he needs you to receive. Walking with Yahweh and making the decision to follow him, really follow him, not picking and choosing, but going all in and surrendering your entire life, will probably be far from easy. And there will be a lot of resistance or pushback from the enemy. But if you allow his Ruach to simply have control and dominion over every aspect in your life, things are going to work out for your good, for Yahweh, who has all power, will do a beautiful work inside of you. The Feast of Shavuot is to also help you realize being a child of Yahweh and having the seed of his righteousness does require actual effort, time, energy, renewing, investment, and solitude. Ever since Yahweh revealed his name to us, he led Christian and I last year to start honoring his feasts. And Yahweh did so, by the way, without us even knowing anything about his feasts. It just happened naturally. We were being led by his Ruach. The thing is, we need to just have our hearts softened and fastened on Yahweh and be willing to unlearn our old ways and learn His ways, not mankind. For example, last year, we were listening to and blowing the shofar for over 1 month prior to Rosh Hashanah. And it wasn't until a couple or a few weeks before the Feast of Shavuot, before the feast arrived and our shofars also arrived. We were listening to it on audio, and then we arranged for physical shofars. And then the feast arrived, which is Yom Kippur, and everything came together. Yahweh revealed to us what the blowing of the shofar was all about. And Yom Kippur is English for the Day of Atonement. So to have the desire to honor, please, glorify, and proclaim Yahweh, it should come naturally and grow stronger by the day. And blowing the shofar is not only causing demonic evil spirits to tremble and run, but it symbolizes and means that Yahweh is present. He is speaking, working miracles, and is moving mountains. And we can see that the blowing of the shofar was done before many miraculous and significant events in Yahweh's word. When this happens in your life and Yahweh is moving mountains around you and is expediting every single obstacle you encounter, it is simply because you have shown to Yahweh that you know how to handle moments in your life when there is a high and low. Your faith, your belief, your identity in Yahweh does not waver a single bit, because you understand that it is not by your own strength, but by His help, Yahweh's Ruach alone, that you can go through life here on earth without a single scratch. And to put this into a natural perspective, do you get paid a paycheck in advance? Do you get paid a year's worth of salary at the beginning of each new calendar year? Or do you have to work for it and earn it? Humans who do not have Yahweh work because they are natural and spiritual slaves. They work and serve money and fortune. But for Yahweh's children, work is one of the many mirrors of how our relationship with Yahweh is. We can see Yahweh in every area of our life, and this includes working. Each season in your work, job, or career life, you can either advance continuously or be constantly demoted. In other words, you can grow and become a massive force and blessing for those in your workspace, or you can become a burden, a person who nobody wants to be around, and ultimately leads you into being fired. Because you have shown that you don't have what it takes to serve in that place and receive the rewards available to the people who have worked and earned to get the incentives. To summarize this connection, we don't work because we need money. We get money because we are made to work. Just like Yahushua said, "My Father is always working, so do I." The connection is one I needed to highlight because the feasts of Yahweh are not to be taken lightly, and it does require constant repetition in hearing Yahweh's truth through His words. In order for many people to open their eyes and heart to Yahweh and take action to begin following Yahweh in His ways, earlier I mentioned how we can see Yahweh in every single aspect of our lives. The type of relationship you have with Yahweh will reflect all areas of your life and lifestyle, meaning in the natural and spiritual realm. Whether or not the people around you see it, because the most glamorous and smiling lifestyles may not have Yahweh, but those individuals know that deep down, behind closed doors, inside their lives, it is miserable, filled with absolute chaos, destruction, poverty, and loneliness. Christian and I have known so-called successful individuals and families who live their life without Yahweh, and it is very clear that you should not be intrigued by all that you see, because the world is full of lies, distortion, and deception. A person's net worth is not at all related to their spiritual value. Don't desire the goals and possessions of this world and the people of it. Desire and seek Yahweh's will and plans, because you not only will experience the fullest potential, but you will ignite the calling and purpose you were created for, which will cause you to experience a magnificent amount of joy, gratitude, wealth, abundance, life, wisdom, shalom, fulfillment, and blessings, all from Yahweh. Going back to having the ability to see Yahweh in every area of your life, for instance, if your commitment to establishing, growing, and enriching the relationship you have with Yahweh is not done with all that you know that you have the ability to do so, in simpler words, if you put in little to zero energy, time, effort, renewing, investment, and solitude for your relationship with Yahweh, you will definitely reap that. All the areas of your life will become a desert, and there will be lack and desperation. Keep in mind, before the children of Yahweh received His truth, there was a process requiring some form of work to be done, whether it was in the natural or spiritual. The children, all throughout the word of Yahweh, had to put in work. Faith and work go hand in hand in order to produce fruits, a harvest, and blessings from Yahweh. There is no other way to share this but for one to experience it themselves. When you understand and learn the importance in tapping into the most amazing relationship you will ever encounter and have with you at all times, 24/7, and you make the most of your days here on earth simply by putting the time, the energy, effort, renewing, investment, and solitude with Yahweh, you will reap and receive the righteous rewards and consequences that follow. And it is because you have shown to Yahweh, to yourself, and the people around you that you fear Yahweh and that He is the priority in your life. Nobody and nothing else, because without Him, you have been incomplete and lost. Something you should ponder on daily and pray to Yahweh about is, what revelation am I missing out on? How can I receive more of His wisdom, understanding, and knowledge? What is the path Yahweh created for me since the beginning of creation? Another is, how about asking Yahweh to also show you the way to start walking on the path in all areas of your life, both in the natural and spiritual. Deep down, I know we all want to experience all the righteous consequences that are included when we genuinely follow Yahweh in all of His ways. So ask Ruach Yahweh to help you become a witness to others of His faithfulness and goodness. Because I know personally for Christian and I, when we found out about Yahweh's real names, we knew we had to use discernment from Ruach Yahweh to know who we needed to separate ourselves from. Because we had to put an end to all anti-Hamashiach spirits who were dwelling and influencing our lives. There was a constant flow of questions and desire to know Yahweh more. And with just a few pivots and decisions we made, Yahweh turned our lives completely around. Have the heart of a student and never stop seeking Yahweh. How Yahushua's followers and His students showed themselves is one connection we can learn from. And how Yahushua is with His relationship to Yahweh is one we can also learn from. Yahweh provided us with massive support in many forms. It is up to us to make the most of them all. The path to following Yahweh is not easy. But if you are willing to humble yourself and surrender everything you know is good and bad, Yahweh will walk you through an expedited path to reach the milestones where you begin utilizing your spiritual and natural gifts and His fruits to serve you, your loved ones, the community around you, and the world. And when I say to serve you, I don't mean what you think you need, what you think you want and desire, but when you yield your life unto Yahweh's purpose and calling for your life, certain milestones in direct connection to your willingness and devotion to pleasing and following Yahweh, He will produce fruits in your life that you've never truly experienced. and an overflow of blessings that you never even thought was possible because it seems so unrealistic and unattainable. Now, I did not have us read any passages in Yahweh's word today for a reason, but I will provide you with a few passages which I highly advise writing down and reading before next Shabbat. These passages will help you gather more appreciation for today's message and the preparation weeks leading up to Yahweh's Feast of Shavuot. We have 11 days before the Feast of Shavuot, June 11th at sunset to June 13th at sunset, and we are to observe and honor Yahweh's feasts. If you simply listen to this teaching and take zero action before next Shabbat, you will not be prepared for next week's Shabbat and or Feast of Shavuot. And I'm not saying this just to prepare you solely for the message and the feast, but the children of Yahweh who prepared, did their part, and put themselves in the position of receiving the blessings had an overflow of Yahweh's Ruach through Yahushua on the day of the Feast of Shavuot. You can either take part in receiving, experiencing, and witnessing the abundance of Yahweh's goodness and righteousness in your life, or you can withhold all the treasures he has awaiting for you to receive because of not having your priorities straightened, meaning having Yahweh being your only priority and focus every single day. Because when Yahweh is number one in your life, everything else, all things will follow. So the passages I encourage you to write down are the book of Exodus or Shemot, chapter 31, verses 12 to 18. So the book of Exodus, chapter 31, verses 12 to 18. The second passage that I want you to write down is also in the book of Shemot or Exodus, and it is chapters 32 to 34. So 32 to 34. The next passage I encourage you to read is Leviticus chapter 23. The book of Leviticus chapter 23. And then the next passage I encourage you to read is Deuteronomy. So the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 1 to 12. So Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 1 to 12. The next one is the book of Acts. The book of Acts chapter 1 to 2. So chapter 1 and chapter 2 in the book of Acts. And then the last two I want you to write down are found in the book of Jude. Sorry, there's three. So the book of Jude, the whole book of Jude, it's like 1 or 2 pages depending on your Bible translation. And then the book of Jubilees is the final one. And that is chapters 1 to 2 and chapters 5 to 6 in the book of Jubilees. So 1 to 2 and 5 to 6. And those passages is what will help you.
You need to explain about Jubilees.
So the book of Jubilees, if you don't have the lost books, which depending on their Bible translation, you can just reach out to us and then we can share with you which books to reference. But a lot of religions like to say that these are not canonical books, but they are. They're not canonical considered by man, but when you start connecting and knowing the scriptures and the connections that they have, you can receive discernment and know that Yahweh is speaking and confirming many things that are in alignment with the scriptures found in the Tanakh and the renewed covenant scriptures. So that is the final portion to today's message. And I'm just going to end it with a brief prayer before answering any questions that you may have. So, Thank you, Yahweh. We bless your holy, sovereign, righteous name, the creator of all, our heavenly Abba. We thank you because you've gifted us the ability to take part in your set-apart feast days and become your set-apart children and family. We thank you for the fresh pouring of revelation, new wine and oil. May we all receive what you have for us to do in these coming days so that we can be prepared to receive the abundant blessing that you have for us to receive and apply in the coming chapters in our life. We ask you for more in all areas, and may your Ruach provide us with the direction that we need to take. And we ask you that all influence from demonic spirits be removed and cast down from our lives. We surrender our entire lives, our old identity, from the seed that was taken in the Garden of Eden from Adam and Eve. We renounce all of that, all of our ancestry, and all of which we've welcomed into our own lives personally. We thank you because you've cleansed us with your blood. We bless your holy name in Yahushua HaMashiach, so shall this be for all who are listening.